Beach Channel. My name is Carly, and this is Life and Style. And I have a very special guest. She has spread her knowledge of all things love, having her own TED Talks to be being featured on Cosmopolitan and Forbes magazine. She has written multiple books. She's America's go-to love doctor, and she is known as Coach Cass.
What's up,
Welcome.
I am excited to be here, girl.
I'm so excited for you to be here because this is one of my favorite topics.
Yes.
I love all things dating, but I also hate all things dating. Which I'm sure that you've heard multiple times from everybody.
100%.
Could you walk us through how you ended up being a love coach and a matchmaker?
Okay, so once upon a time, Carly, I was dating a guy that I thought was the one. You ever thought somebody was the one before?
About 10 times.
So in one of those 10 times, I was dating this guy for like a year and a half. And I was like, oh, it's going so good. Went on his company trips, talked about future and a hope, girl, we're going to do this. And then one Christmas Eve, I got a call from a mutual friend. Bring. Hey, what's up? Merry Christmas. He's like, yeah, are you sitting? What's going on? He's like, he's married.
Shut up.
So my heart shattered into
Did he just do this like
pieces.
randomly? Like he just like decided like, oh, I'm gonna confess, or
no, this is the mutual friend that told me. He didn't tell me.
Friend.
Yes, it was his friend that told me. He was like, look, girl, this is what's going on that you don't know. Right? So my heart shattered in a million pieces. I walked away from that relationship like cold turkey, cold stone, didn't call back, done. Right? And I kept dating the wrong guy after the wrong guy after the wrong guy. I'm like, why am I not learning? What is going on? And so my defining moment came when I got maybe my 29th wedding invitation. I was like, okay, is everybody getting married? You ever felt like everybody? Didn't matter their age, their stage, their race, their weight. Listen, Toothless Willie down the street got married last week. You know, It's like, I'm cute, you're cute. Why is this not working for me? So literally, I decided to draw a line in the sand, but I drew it behind me. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to become a student of love, because when I looked around, family wasn't really teaching me how to do this. I'm Jamaican. It's just like, you know, like it's a whole bunch of cultural stuff. I was like, okay, I got to do something different. So I read almost 100 books on love. I went to marriage conferences as a single woman. Literally out here on the internet right now, there is, you know, where you put your face in the cutout?
Yeah.
It's like the bride and then the groom was empty. And all my friends are like, yo, Cass, where's the groom? He's coming. So literally, I started to interview couples who had been married for over 25 years but still liked each other, because I knew a lot of grumpy married folk. You know grumpy married people?
I know a ton.
And then I interviewed successful women who were successful in love and business, because a part of me felt like you couldn't do the both of them at the same time. So all of this helped to rewire my brain, as well as therapy, as well as coaching, and it literally became my magnificent obsession. So when I attracted my amazing husband, Andy, I said, listen, wait a second. I could have settled so many times. And when I started to look around, there's so many professional women that are like, this'll do. You know, like, just think about it. All your girlfriends are just like, I guess, right? And these really quasi situationships aren't serving us. So literally, that's what kickstarted my mission to help professional women choose the right relationship. You know, no longer settling, but really thriving and not self-sabotaging.
For sure. And I feel like that you hit the nail on the head with women that kind of just are like, oh, this is like okay, like like whatever. I know so many women that are just like, I can't find anything better, and I don't think there's anything better out there, so I'm just going to deal with this guy.
So that's my problem. It's like they hold on to the man like he's the last man on earth. Oh, well, you know, Coach Cass, I've known him for this amount of time, or, you know, he knows this about me, or he picks up my mom, you know, like silly stuff. And it's just like, that's not enough to say this is your person. Yeah.
It's so crazy. I feel like the dating world right now is just it's crazy, especially with all the dating apps and everything.
So that is over 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so overwhelming. I feel like also there's so many options now. Like you can see all the options. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Kind of effect?
So the problem that ends up with that, when you feel like you have all these options, then you're constantly dismissing people that might be a great catch, looking for better. Right? Oh, well, you know, he has this one hair coming out his nose, so I'm going to go better. Or he's not tall enough, so I'm going to go better.
That's always a woman thing. They're like,
girl,
oh, he has to be 6'4".
I feel sorry for all the short men, especially in Miami, right? So it's just like, there are a lot of short men that get a bad rap, right? My husband, he says he's taller than me, but I wore sandals to our wedding and we were neck and neck. So if I had that whole 6'4", I'd miss out on this great guy that I have. And yes, he ended up making all the great money, but guess what? I was the upgrade.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're just so focused on where someone is and forget, well, what's the character of who he is? What is he striving to do? And does he have the steps in place? Too often do we just look at, okay, well, he's not there right now, so just never mind.
So when you are coaching people, do you kind of do you do like a one-on-one with someone, and you're kind of like, what is, like, you go through their personality and see, because maybe people are going after something that's very similar to them, and that's not what they like, and they just don't see it.
So I'm specifically thinking of a woman, and I'll leave her nameless, but she was a partner in a law firm in Miami, right? Single mom, widow, divorced, all the things in her background, and all she kept talking about is she wanted a great guy to go to galas with her on her arm, right? Okay, come on, galas. And I was just like, is that really what you need?
Yeah.
Single mom, law partner? Is that what you need? Like, is there something a little bit more? And when we dug deeper, it's like, you know what? I need somebody to hold my hair back if I don't feel good throwing up in the toilet. I need somebody that loves me in my sweatpants and
people
not
don't
well.
really think about that. They're only thinking of like the pictures that they're going to get at this gala.
Exactly.
They want to have like arm candy on their arm.
That's it. And it's just like, there's so much more than arm candy, because look at where you've already gotten. You don't need someone to build you to where you've already gotten. So what do you actually need? Someone that sees you, that hears you, that cherishes you, that supports you, that's your cheerleader. It's and we take those soft skills for granted. But I think that's really what most women want, is someone that really sees them and hears them, because so often we could be surrounded by people and still feel alone.
Like 1,000%. And I realize I'm in my 30s now.
Yee.
So dating has kind of changed from 20s to 30s, and I'm sure it changes into 40s and 50s as well. When in the 20s, I always wanted to date older, because I felt like guys mature so slow.
They do.
So, but like now I'm kind of like, wait, like the guys that I'm dating now can be my age.
Okay.
So like, have you noticed
it caught
that?
up? What? Yeah, I said it caught up. So when they hit like 35, you're like, oh, okay, you're a grown up.
Yeah. It's like, it's so shocking to me.
Yes, definitely. Yes, men do mature slower, but I think it's a case by case situation.
It is. It
right?
definitely is a case by case. I mean, everybody's different, but I always felt like, at least with the dating apps, that like I always went for the older man, because they're more established. They're more.
You do
like,
want someone more established and settled down, unless you're the turn up girl, right? But then again, turn up, it fades out after a while. Really, it does. And it's just like, okay, for instance, I hear often that women want someone that protects them. And then I have to ask, how many fights have you really been in? Right? Like that's walking down the street, right? Like, like I've been in zero, right? And sometimes people are like, well, actually I have, but what was that life? Are you still in that life? No. Okay, so what are we really talking about here? Because we're so concerned about protection, but what about protecting your heart? Right? We're looking for this big macho gan, just in case something happens in the street. Nothing's happening in the street, right? So when we talk about our normal, peaceful, day-to-day, sit at home at the computer life, we want someone that's protecting our heart, cherishing our feelings, validating us. That's really what we're seeking. And we have to go a stage deeper. My problem is that most women, most people are afraid of being vulnerable. And really sharing what it is that they need.
And it's mainly because they've been hurt before. Yeah. And they have to kind of get over that and be comfortable with that person. And it takes time.
It does.
And that's also the killer, because if you're in your 30s, you want to have kids, you have that clock. And time is the killer. So, and if you're focusing on one guy and you're 8 months in, I wasted all that time and I realized I can't trust him.
So I believe in dating multiple people. And I know that our parents didn't really teach us that. And then sometimes you're afraid of looking like, a streetwalker if you go out with multiple guys. But at the end of the day, who says that we have to commit so quickly, right? You meet one guy. This is the problem. What I find with majority of women that I work with is like, okay, I met this one guy. He was decent. He was consistent. So then he was my man. And then he was my man for a year, 2 years. And it's like, oh, that wasn't it. So then I do it over. Or maybe I go on a dating hiatus. So then you're hiatusing for 5 years.
Like this, hold on.
Exactly. It's a problem, this cycle. So literally what I believe is to date until practically you're married. Like date people until it's like, yo, this is my person. too often are we like, oh, well, I'm busy. So, this works. This works. He brings me food. He rubs my feet. This works, knowing that it's not going anywhere, but it works because you're so divested or you're so focused on your career and hitting the next glass ceiling that we forget that, wow, I should also put some time and some energy into choosing the person I want in my life.
Yeah. And that probably has a big effect on like the divorce rate right now. And
yeah, because they chose wrong in the first place.
Yeah, they didn't pick wisely.
No.
Yeah.
And nobody teaches us this, right? So half the time somebody got pregnant, the other half is like, oh, okay, well, this is what we're supposed to do. We've spent this amount of time. My family knows them. So, the amount of women, I work with a lot of divorced women, and the amount of women I've spoken to that said they knew walking down the aisle that this was not their person. How horrible is that, right?
Really
but because, we told everybody flew in, I spent this money, what will it look like? We got to get out of what will it look like? Because at the end of the day, your family is not inside your house rubbing your feet and paying your bills. They're not, they're not there at your darkest hour. They might be sometimes, but for the most part, the person that you choose in your life is the person that's going to be your rock. Yeah. That's going to be your person in so many times.
Call in like a panic, or if something's wrong, that's the first person you call. The person that's going to make medical decisions on your behalf.
Exactly.
Someone that you trust wholeheartedly.
That person. And so you have to be more stringent with who you decide on. Like, I believe in having that VIP row, right? So life is an audience, but you have that VIP row, maybe 3 good people that you trust their judgment. And I like to be on that board, right? So that VIP row, and you say, okay, well, we're going to have a vetting session, right? These people are going to have a conversation with this man, and we're going to put them in different dynamics, different areas, and see what their feedback is about him as I get more serious. But I think it's important to include those people in your vetting process. But outside of that.
So women nowadays, they pick their partner purely because they feel the clock that's happening. How I understand why people do it. However, how do you get into that person's head and say, hey, stop, like, right, this is not okay. You need to pick your partner carefully.
So I've had clients that have decided to have children on their own, right? To like take that off the table, and they went the in vitro route and did that whole situation, froze their eggs, all of that to take off some of the time clock. Do you find that
more difficult when dating though, if they have kids?
Listen, it can be, right? But I really believe that everybody has somebody that's been praying for them, right? In their same exact situation, right? I don't personally want to sign up to be a single mom on purpose, right? So when I started dating Andy, he said, do you want kids? I said, if I'm with someone that I believe will be there, right? Past conception, right? Someone that will be in the trenches with me. And as someone who has a daughter, my parenting journey, it's been rough, right? Like having a baby through your situation. What? I went to all the classes. Nobody told me what that was going to be like. And so to have a man that supported me, I remember my husband changed the first 150 diapers. And my mom and grandma, remember, old school Jamaicans, they were, after day 3, they were like, you're still here. I'm like, where is he supposed to be? But I started to think about it. For them, their husbands, their men were out at the bar, out in the street. And I was just like, wow, the expectation level. So for those who have that ticking time clock, look, now I know Janet Jackson is a celebrity, Tamron Hall, but these ladies at 50 had a child. But at the end of the day, like, what is more important to you, to raise a child in an environment where they have 2 parents who love each other, or just to have a child on your own, or a donor from a guy that you might see every now and again? And I know we can't predict the future, but at the time of conception, what would you want that to be? And to focus in on, okay, if relationship is really important, then let's focus in on that and not just look at the end result, because that's what often happens, right? You go on a date and you're like, are you my husband?
There have been so many times where I have friends that come back and they're like, wait, I'm marrying him. I'm like, this was your first date.
But I have an 8-year-old daughter, And every single movie, this is the plot line, right? As soon as you meet, it's kismet, we're in love, we get married. Every single plot, I'm sick, right?
So
it's
already
everything.
Disney is kind of like setting us up for failure.
It's a problem. I tell her, right? Like, so when Aladdin puts out his hand to get on the carpet, do you trust me? No, we don't trust you. Right. You were stealing in the marketplace 5 seconds ago. I don't know you, homeboy. Right. So my 8-year-old we have these conversations about what is his character? What is he about? Who is he uninterrupted? Like, who is this man without me telling him what I want? And does that align with who I am? Like, we got to go deeper than, ooh, he's sexy. You know, he has a job. He calls me. We need more than cute, consistent.
Yeah. So with social media, we kind of have the power to go into our date's past and see everything that he's done probably for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of a downfall with dating? Like, should people do that beforehand? Should they know what he does? I feel like girls take it to an extreme. They like, oh, he makes this, he drives this car, he lives here, like all that
Stalker.
stuff.
So, okay, so I have a beta program called Swipe for Her where we swipe for you because we want to take the heartache out of swiping. So one of our ladies, she got on the phone with one guy. She was really feeling him, and they got on social media, and he said he managed a club, but it turned out to be a strip club. And literally his banner behind him on his social media has G-strings. Hello? No, sir. This is not okay, right? And so she found out some things that are just not in alignment with who she is. So in that case, that was very helpful for saying, okay, no, thank you. Overall, I like it when people get together and they judge each other for who they are, because who we were in the past doesn't necessarily dictate who we are today. But for your profession, being a strip club owner or manager,
That's probably a red flag.
That's a whole red flag. If that's not your life, if you're not down for that, then it's not okay. So I think it is a case by case basis. Eventually, we could end up on social media together, but I wouldn't say let's go deep diving into your social media before the first date, because you kind of want to get to know the person just for as they are. Yeah. Do I believe in background checks? I sure do, right? But as you start getting deeper into
if you go on that first date, you're like, oh, this guy's kind of nice. Then maybe like,
let's see what's going on over here. Yeah.
What's going on? But
we're all private investigators.
Yeah. And I feel like dating apps have made that a lot worse too, because you kind of like deep dive and then you start analyzing their pictures and like what's in the background and everything.
Oh my goodness. This is why we have the service.
And I don't know if you've heard, but on Facebook they have this group where it says, "Are we dating the same guy?"
Yes!
And dude, that Facebook group is insane.
It's a problem.
It is a problem because the girls will literally dive in and be like, oh, he was like here, he's on this street, like blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God.
So I have another client, right? So I have a community called the Real Love Network where I support women in their love journey. So she's in the group and she posted the guy. And there were 2 women that said, yeah, I dated him. And they said, yeah, well, you know, he wasn't financially where he wanted to be. So he was mainly focused on that. And the other person said something else, but they both like recommended him. So he came with recommendations like, actually, he's actually a pretty good dude.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's like,
so
I've never had this.
In her favor.
Yeah.
It's not always a good favor on that website.
He ended up moving, unfortunately. So they weren't wanting to do long distance. But for the time that they were together, it was actually a great situation.
Yeah. And I mean, that website, I never post the guys that I'm dating.
No?
It scares me. I'm so scared they're going to be like, oh, he's married with 3 children. But like, I'm like, maybe I should know that. But
find it out.
Yeah, I feel like I would find it out
myself.
Yeah.
You would.
Yeah, for sure. One question that I really wanted to know is like, what's the most surprising thing that you've learned from your clients about love?
How scared we are.
Yeah.
We put up all of these things like, I'm busy, I have work, I have other things, but it's all deep rooted in fear. And a lot of it is a fear of rejection, especially as women. Guys, you know, they're used to, hey girl, you know, call me, you know, they're used to the reach out and the rejection. But for us, it's like, if he doesn't call back, my life is over. I'm worth nothing. I really like this one. I went on half of a date. I had one conversation. He was my husband. So I think a part of it is living in the future. And so we've already planned out our wedding off of one conversation, and then not really going that far because we're afraid it won't work out. So we don't really give love a chance. Yeah. Right? So I think that fear is the biggest thing that has surprised me, is how we allow fear to rule our lives.
That's so crazy. Like you're speaking to probably a lot of our viewers, and like I definitely think we all need to work on that. Yeah. Not letting it and kind of taking risk, but not bad risk. Right. But like stepping out of our comfort zone. Exactly. To find the one. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe date the short guy.
Date the short guy. Come on.
So I'm going to wrap up. I want to talk about your book. I also want to talk about this card
The Love
set,
Deck.
The Love Deck.
Yeah.
You told me before that you recommend having these questions in the back of your mind.
Yeah. So literally women will take them out their purse, girl. They'll be like, okay, I got a game for us. That's it. Right. So it's on Amazon. It's called The Love Deck, 60 questions to ask before choosing the one. On one side is affirmations, right? Affirm who you are, because sometimes we forget, right? I believe that every woman is a wanted woman. Women achieving new triumphs every day. 100%. You woke up like this, right? So as a wanted woman, what are the things that I need to know? And sometimes it's nerve-wracking. You watch any of these reality shows, like, I don't know what to talk about, right? Gosh, so it helps to take it out of your head and just into the game. Like, hey, let's do this. And I have had clients get married, and the men say, after going through those questions, I knew she was the one. I'm like,
oh my goodness. That's
right?
So cute.
Because we don't dive deep in our conversations. And then in terms of the book, which is also on Amazon, Wanted Woman, The Busy Woman's Guide to Choosing and Attracting a Love That Lasts, it's really a guidebook, right? How do we enter a healthy relationship? How do we really get past our own fears? How do we really create that love vision for what it is that we want, and not walk around so cloudy like, this'll do. So yeah, like these are great resources that I have.
100% sure. Like, I am ordering it right now.
Listen, y'all should come to my live event, Wanted Woman Live. It really is a weekend.
Every year, right?
Every year in the fall, in October, usually the first weekend. And so really what this event is a weekend for you. Right? To be poured into. Sometimes we get so caught up on getting the guy that we forget who we are. Yeah. So it's a weekend to get poured into. It's a sisterhood. It's just beautiful. And yes, we dive deep into, like, how do we wear pink? How do we really get out of that masculine and dial into our feminine? Because sometimes when you're used to doing everything yourself, it's really hard.
You get into that like routine. You're like, wait, you're here.
Right, exactly. How do I really make room for love? And then we have a whole men's panel. It's just a beautiful time. We dance, we sing, we eat, we learn. It's a good time.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I want you to pimp yourself out. Where can people find you? What's your Instagram? What's your website?
Okay, so Instagram is at Inspire Many, Many, M-A-N-Y. And the website is wantedwoman.com. Take the quiz. Figure out if you're ready to date.
Awesome. That's amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Carly.
And Beach Channel, this has been Life and Style. I'll see you next time.